Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Justin with Corework Node, and today we're going to be creating a simple health bar. We're going to be using NGUI to set up everything. So I'm already assuming that you have NGUI installed, running, functioning, and know how to operate it. I will show you how to create it with sprites in NGUI and get that set up, and then also code it so you can change the value of your health bar. So let's get started. I'll pop over here real quick. As you can see, this is our NGUI frame here, and I've already changed the depth of my camera and everything like that. So the first thing that I need to do to create my health bar, or the first thing that I like to do, is give it some dimension. So I'm going to create a sprite, and let's see here. I got a bar background. Change that 200 by 25. All right. And I'm just going to call this health bar background. And I'm going to create a sprite via the NGUI menu stripped option. Alternatively, you can click Alt-Shift-S to create your sprite. I'll go ahead and create that. Give a nice little heart icon. Size this down just a little bit. Health bar was 100. 0 is center, so minus 100 is going to be the edge. Or excuse me, health bar background. And this is going to be health icon. If you decide to have a health icon or health background, if you do a health bar background, go ahead and obviously make that 0 or something that you can remember, obviously as the lowest because it's the background. And that's sliced. I'm not going to fill the center. And it really don't matter if you fill the center or not. You can, in this case, I'm just going to leave it filled. There's really no point for it not to be. And your health bar icon, if you choose to create one, go ahead and bump it up to about 5 or 4. You want that to be on top of all your layers. Okay, so now we need to create another sprite. This is going to be 1. It's going to have a depth of 1, and I've got a little slot here. Change that over to tiled. Probably 180 by 16. Nope. Guess I'll just roll with 180. Kind of short. Kind of. It's 25, 16, 15, 185. That's better for me. I'm just being a little bit picky. I know I shouldn't be because this is a tutorial and I need to hurry it along. And this slot is actually going to be our actual health bar. So I'm just going to give it the title health bar. And then with health bar selected, I'm going to create another sprite via the NGUI menu strip. I'll bump that down to 14. You know what I did? This needs to be 26. This needs to be 16. My health bar. I'm not really giving you dimensions because it really depends on what you're looking for, obviously. And then I'm just going to call the foreground here health, and then full would be 180. 185. Oh, what in the world? 185. Okay. That is obviously 2. Alright. So that's looking good to me. That's looking like a appropriate health bar. And I'll just move this to the corner of my screen. Which would be probably minus 350. Nope. 95. That's probably minus 250. Oh. 300. I'm good at guessing where stuff should be for some reason. Alright. Again, just being a little bit picky. It don't really matter where it's placed on your screen. I'm down with the top left, but you know, whatever. Okay. So you should have this general thing created here. You should have, you know, your health bar background, which is kind of just a little placement for your main stuff. Your health bar icon, if you wanted one, which could be a heart or whatever. Then your health bar, which is pretty much just the actual bar where all the magic happens. And then your health, which is your filler for your bar. Okay, so I'm going to go back and click on health bar in the hierarchy, add component, and it's going to be progress bar, because we're using a progress bar for this. So NGUI progress bar. And simply here, it's asking for foreground, background, and thumb. I don't know why you could put a thumb on a progress bar. I know you could do it on a slider, but I think a thumb is simply like if you put a box here and you could click it or tap it, hold it down, and then drag the bar value. We obviously don't need that. We don't need the user to be able to change their health on the fly, though you could add it. All right, so our filler or our foreground is obviously going to be our health sprite that we created, and our background is obviously going to be our health bar. Now if I go and change the value, you can see our health changes. It goes from 0 to 1. Steps unlimited. You could change this to something like 5, and then you could progress it in 5 steps. But none of this really matters to us. 0 equals unlimited, and we're going to change this in code. Very easy, simple code that I will link in the description below. But we're going to create a new one. It's going to be called my health. Create new script. C# is what we're using. Let that compile. Alright, I'll go ahead and open this script up. Alright. So I'm going to get rid of the start function. I'm not going to use it right now. Unfortunately, I'm going to be using the update function and calling every frame so you can see what's going on in real time. I will give you a little information though. Preferably what you would do is if you had an enemy or something that took your health, you would only call the information whenever your health would change, obviously. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to put in the update function. You can keep it in the update function, but I wouldn't recommend, you know, doing that, but that's up to you. Okay, and you know what? I forgot. I did this again. I keep forgetting. We need to create a label. So let's go back on our health bar, NGUI, create. You don't really have to have a label, I guess. But why wouldn't you? You know, let's display some information. I'm going to put it right on the health bar. I'm going to do a outline on my text so it's more visible, and I'm just going to call this health label. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my code, and guess the first thing that I need to do is I need to create a public UI label object, and I'm just going to call this the same thing I called in my scene, so I know what I need. And then I'm going to create public float, so I can change stuff on the fly for display purposes. You don't have to make your float public, but all right. So I'm going to do health F. That's what I'm going to name it, so it makes some sense. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and zero that out. Let me make my text bigger here so maybe you can see. All right, that's as large as it gets. Okay, then I'm going to bump back up to my update function, and I'm going to call for another float, and I'm going to call this live. Actually, I'm going to call this update health, and that's going to equal health. Excuse me. Health float, or health underscore F, our health variable that we did, times 100. And I'll explain what that does in just a minute, but I'm going to try to finish this up so you can get a better understanding of everything. It's still early. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself some space. And I'm just going to do, I guess, GameObject.find HealthBar. That's the name of our game object with the component on it. Again, this script could theoretically be anywhere, but it's a child. Since our HealthBar is a child of our HealthBar background, you know, I just simply put it on the HealthBar. I thought it'd be simpler, less problematic in my opinion. And we're just going to do .get component, and then we're going to call in our UI progress bar. Close off some parentheses, do the value, and it's going to equal, excuse me, the value is going to equal health float, and we're going to go ahead and close that off. And then our label, so health label dot text, don't forget that. I forget that sometimes. I program in Visual Studio and C# and stuff like that all the time, and I constantly use dot text, and I don't realize why, or I don't understand in Unity why I just don't like to use it for some reason. I don't use it, and it might be because of the print feature is why I always forget. So we're going to call update health float dot toString, close off some parentheses, and or plus we're going to call in another string, and we're just going to add a %, and then health, make it look neat, close it off. Oh, I forgot to do it equals. Again, something that I seem to do all the time. Alright, so I'm going to pop back over to the Unity. And on our health bar, once our script that we just created compiled, I constantly Control S as I'm programming because I've lost tons of code before. So I did save that script. You can do file and save. Well, obviously you see it's grayed out, so I was Control S, but it is literally every time I write a line of code, it seems like that has just become a habit. All right, so our label object, we're just going to drag that over here, and then our health float, which is 0. So if we go over to our game and press play, we see our health bar 0% health. If we change this to 1, that should be 100% health. This is where the math comes into play just a little bit. I times, well, number one, I made a new float. It's equal to health F, or health float that we created, health underscore F, whatever you want to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you do. Times 100. What this did is this broke the 0.00, etc. So pretty much if you do 0.1, that's 10% health. 2, 20, 3, 30, etc. You can manipulate this in so many different ways because there's so many numbers from 0 to 1. A lot of people don't realize that, but there's 0.0001, etc., etc., etc. It goes on forever. There's so many numbers in it. But we're primarily using a float. For the main reason, our progress bar is pretty much built on float, and or I guess an NGUI, and or the value of our progress bar is. You can simply see it over here as I change it, and it gives us more possibilities. Because say in your game you have more than 100 hit points or 100% hit points, or you be a little bit more descriptive, etc. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over to Unity and click stop real quick. Actually, I'm gonna click play and show you something that we need to fix. So if I go over here, obviously right now I could have 2400% health or 200% health, etc. And unless you want 200% health, it's pointless. So, and it just don't look right, and that means that you're going to have numbers overflowing. So we need a constraint. We're going to do if update. What is wrong with me today? I cannot type. Update health float is I'm going to do greater than or equal to 0, and update health float is less than or equal to 100. And then slap that under that. Open close brackets. This is what I was talking about real quick. I'm just going to print in the debug health cap for debugging purposes for myself. But that's what I was talking about where I forget .text because I'm constantly using print. Okay, so pretty much all we did here was just create a constraint if our health float is greater than or equal than 0 and is less than or equal to 100. That's going to keep us in the bounds from 0 to 100. And that way, if you happen to hit a game object, you don't have to allow game objects to go out and look for what your health is nonstop. So if you have a game object like a health pack that no matter what gives you 5 health and the player's at 98% health, it's going to give them over that 2, but they're only going to see that they have 100% health. You're going to have to start working with some division on your health objects because, I just described a problem. If you give your person more health than they see, then they lose health, and they lose health, then they don't really lose the health, etc. So it gets complicated. Health in a game in general can get very complicated. All right, but we're going to test this out real quick. I'm just going to keep bumping this up, bumping it up, bumping it up. You see it don't go past 99%, but it does actually. It just did not because when you're scrolling like that, you're bumping 2 or 3 at a time, and we simply told ours not to move when we go below. So we can have 100% health, we're going to have 50% health, we're going to have 20% health, 10, We can have a 0, but we can't have minus, and we can't have above 100. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed. That's a simple health bar using NGUI and some simple code. I'm going to explain this real quick before I leave you to it. I did not want this video to go this long, but it's just one of those things. Let me stop my game real quick. Okay, so all we did was we created a public UI label called health label. Over here on our script, we just simply drug our label over. That's another nifty way to change text with one of NGUI's items, text items, if you wanted to, or change text on the fly rather. Then we created a public float and gave it the value of 0. Alternatively, you would give it the value of 1, which is max. And press play real quick. That way, you're going to start out with 100%. Wait a second. Wait a minute. Sometimes I don't think. Yeah, you don't want to change it. That's why I created it public. Yeah, you go over here to the script and you change it. It's early, I'm sorry. I was wondering what I was trying to do. Anyways, you want to start off with 100% health, I guess, but you can change that over here. You could leave that public to change stuff on the fly for health for several monsters, unless you wanted to program this private to always start the health at 100, which I personally guess you would for this script, anyways. But maybe you want to have a sick NPC or something. I don't know. Anyways, then we pretty much did a float update health. We just made a new float. We called it update health equals health underscore float or F, and we times it by 100 to give us the true value or the value that we wanted to see, which was pretty much the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. 1%, 1.5, or 2%, 3%. We knocked out that 1.5 and 1.2, etc. by doing that. And then we just did a simple constraint. If it's less than or equal to, or if it's greater than or equal to 0, and if it's less than or equal to 100, then we're going to allow the health to go up and also change the text. Else, we're just going to print health cap in our console, and that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I was tired during this tutorial. Always look out for better tutorials on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please subscribe to my channel so I can keep trying to bring you great tutorials or decent tutorials of me yawning and coding. Thanks so much, guys.